At Papadakis Racing, we change oil on 1,000 horsepower race cars. I'm going to show you how.
First thing we got to do is open the hood. The car's got a couple of hood latches. These are called aero catch. I'll put a link down below. So this is our 1,000 horsepower engine. We've got a turbocharger, nitrous injection, and what we came here to do, change the oil. Here's our external oil filter. We're going to grab our trusty floor jack, roll that sucker under, and just like a normal car, we'll jack it up, throw some jack stands under there, go to the rear, same thing, and then we're ready to drain the oil. In order to drain the oil, we've got to get to the oil tank. The oil tank in this car is actually in a fireproof box. We don't have room under the hood for the tank, so we actually put it in the car, but because of the rules, we have to have it, separated from the driver in case there's an oil leak or something. So we'll pop the fasteners off, and then we can drain the oil out of it. I actually like the gloves better than barehanded because it feels like I have more grip on all the oily components. Plus, when it's time to clean up, just take the gloves off. In order to drain the oil tank, we need to get the drain plug out. This one's quite different because there's a hose that leads from inside the car to outside the car. Once we get the plug out, it takes about 5 minutes for the oil to drain. It's a pretty small hose that it drains out of. Luckily, this is not part of the race. So once it's drained, got to put the plug back in and then make sure you tighten it when you put it in. We don't want to forget to tighten it later, so tighten it right away when you put it back in. Go dump off the oil into the recycle bin, and now it's time to fill her back up. We use a 5W50 synthetic motor oil that's designed for racing engines. This thing makes a lot of horsepower and also revs to 9,000 RPM. Plus, we end up getting a lot of temperature out of it sometimes, so these engine oils are really good for high temperature.
So if you ever noticed, oil bottles are shaped with the offset spout. The reason why it's an offset spout is, most intuitively you might think you need to pour it like this, but actually incorrect. You want to pour it like this. And the reason why it's offset is so you can continue, here I'll show you. It's so you can continue to tilt it all the way almost to 90 degrees before the oil actually starts coming out. And that way, you don't spill it. Don't feel bad. Most people have been doing it wrong their whole life. I did it wrong for many years. Something satisfying about pouring fresh oil into your engine. It's like that feeling when you go start it up for the first time and drive it, you're like, oh yeah, I think the car's running smoother now.
So it takes about 8 quarts to fill up the tank, and we have this custom dipstick. So we'll stick it down in there until it bottoms out on the shoulder of the dipstick, and then we'll check it. We want it almost to the top of the little knurled area there. You can kind of see it if I, twist it into the light. So once we're all filled up, throw the top on, make sure we cleaned up any spilt oil, and we're good to go. Next, let's change the oil filter. So next we got to get to the oil filter. It's been a while since the other crew guys usually do this. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to change it from the top, but you need to get it from the bottom. I really like these plier type oil filter wrenches. They grab really well. They do dent the filter if you push too hard, so you just got to be careful. We'll get a clean rag, clean the engine oil off of the filter adapter, and then we'll also make sure that the O-ring from the filter didn't get stuck and stay up there, because you don't want to have a problem where you put the new filter on and then it doesn't seal right because there's 2 O-rings up there now. I think it's a good habit to fill up the oil filter you're putting on with new oil. That way when you go to start the engine, it doesn't have to prime so much. It's pretty much ready with all the engine oil in the system, and you get oil pressure right away. And then I'll take a little bit of that oil and just put it on the O-ring there so it's nice and lubricated. So when you tighten it up, it'll tighten up nice. So I'm using the same wrench to put the filter back on, but I've got to be really careful not to dent the filter. We always put a date of when the oil was changed, and we'll put a signature of who did it. Okay, time to start the car up. So we don't have a normal key in this car. We'll actually go to the rear of the car, near where the battery is, and we turn the master power on. Then jump in the driver's seat, detachable steering wheel, of course, and we have the special keypad. We'll turn the ignition on with this button, and then, of course, hit the start button. We're going to watch for the oil pressure to come up, and it should come up right away. Wait a minute for it to sort of circulate through the whole engine, and now it's time to recheck the oil level. So I'll go ahead, pull the top off, check the oil level again. If it needs extra oil, then we'll add that. This time it was perfect. So throw the top on and we are ready to go to the track. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and get out there and change your oil. Always feels good. Ooh, spilled some. Oh,